you learn more from your unsuccessful ventures than you learn from your successful ventures in life because they stick with you. I could quite comfortably tell you the 10 things I failed at before I told you the 10 things I succeeded at.
Welcome to And Then I Did This. Prepare to be inspired as we celebrate the unique journeys of individuals who've had the courage to break free and live life on their own terms. Their lives prove that you truly can be free to live your best and most authentic life. Let's get to it. Welcome to the show. Today, I have a special guest, Iain Morrison. He's the co-founder of the Imagination Collaborative. His high-tech studio is behind some of the world's largest outdoor events, from Taylor Swift to Coldplay to complex festival productions. Iain is a true entrepreneur. He blends hands-on operational grit with cutting-edge digital innovation. And this is going to be a candid conversation about his entrepreneurial journey and the lessons he's learned along the way. So, Iain, welcome to the show.
Thank you, LuRae. Great to be here.
Talk a little bit about, you're at this like apex cutting edge of technology merging with events, and talk about how you even got into this space.
Yeah, well, I started, I'll say 35 years ago, but I think I've been saying 35 years for a while now, so it might be a little bit more. But I started out in school. I went to a private school in Brisbane in Queensland, and I think my parents probably paid a lot of money for it. And, I'm very grateful now for that. But when I was, I think probably in grade 5 or 6, I had to do some electives and I did some Backstage work and I absolutely loved it. So when I then went to high school, we had to choose like 3 full-time electives and the Backstage work was one of them. And I was like, nah, that sounds good. I like that. I'll give it a go. So I did that and I loved it and I've never left. So I was very fortunate that other kids above me were working in the industry, in the events and entertainment space professionally, and I got exposed to that. So I started working on concerts and festivals when I was in my teens and graduated school barely. I mean, I finished. That was, right. I was working in the industry. I was having a great time. School was not my thing. Schoolwork, all of that, just not my thing. So I graduated and I went to university and studied theatre and production at university and then started working at the Opera House in Sydney. And from there, I left in the late 90s and went and did some corporate work. And I was made redundant in 2000 and at the end of 2000, it was made redundant just before Christmas. Had a young family, two very young kids, absolutely gutted. And I was like, you know what? I'm not letting anyone control my destiny again. I'm going to open my own business or start my own business. And then I can do the gigs I want to do when I want to do them. And I went to work sort of with somebody else for a period of time for a year or so after that. And they sort of fell over as well. They took on an event they probably shouldn't have taken on and had to let everyone go. But I was contracting, I had my own business and I was like, you know what, that's it. I'm done working for other people full time. I'm going to go out and do my own things. So for 22 years then I went and I worked in operations, essentially event management, site management for big concerts, festivals, spectaculars, public events. And from there, just before COVID, my business partner who had brought into the business over a period of time, and I did a deal to sell the company and COVID hit. And we were sitting at this forecourt of the Sydney Opera House. We'd had a couple of shows cancel in the lead up, a couple of Asian K-pop shows. And we were like, oh, this is crazy. It's never coming to Australia. This an overseas problem. Very naive of us, very Australian. We'll be right. It's not going to be here. And I remember the day we got the phone call. We were sitting at Circular Quay looking at a big cruise ship that had just pulled in, and all the people from the cruise ship were all around us, and we were building a stage at the Opera House. And we got a call from the client saying the artist has just turned back their jet. They're heading back to America. The shows are off. Start packing up. It's over. And we just stood there looking at each other going, oh my God. We're in some trouble now. So anyway, we sort of rode out COVID a little bit and eventually went through with the sale in December of 2020. And from there went to work for the people that bought the business. But it was one of those things where we kind of went through with the sale and did a longer handover because of COVID. And our values didn't align well with the people that bought the business. So we exited early. We actually forfeited a lot of money in that exit. And we went our separate ways. My business partner and I had been sort of working together 18 years at the time and decided we'd go our separate ways. She went and she got a government job and had babies. And I started another event company. And at that point, I was approached by a colleague that I'd worked with before who asked me to do some work on some international projects remotely. And we got going on those and realised that there was a real gap in the market for the technology that we're now working on. And so over a 18-month period, we started working and developing this technology. And we were so busy that delivering events and running a startup that my wife and I were like, you know what, we got to give one of them up. And there was that moment in time when we were standing in a stadium, just sort of having this conversation, almost surreal, just going, well, what are we going to give up? We can't do both of them. So we decided to give up the event management business and go all in on the tech startup. And as of 1st of July 2024, we were all in on the startup, and now we're 10 months in and holding on to the roller coaster. I feel like I'm at the back of the roller coaster holding on. Is it sort of, you know, that flailing in the wind behind it? But it's a really wild ride, having a ball. So, so that's probably a bit more longer overview. But that's what got me here today.
It's so interesting to have started in elementary school and still be passionate about what you're doing. And now, I mean, you're the captain of your own ship, and you're not having to bow down or answer other than to the client. I mean, you have the client, they're the ones that you keep happy, but you've taken the reins. And I'm just thrilled to hear your story. I think it's just inspiring and motivational and all of that rolled into one.
Well, thank you. And at some point, you're probably always going to have a client unless you're one of the few people that is the ultimate client. And at the end of the day, even if you are the ultimate client, you're still going to have some pressures around you. So, you know, it really is about making your own journey. And for me, that's sort of what my career has been about. In the early days, it was really about me just having control over not being made redundant again and doing the gigs I wanted to do and live the lifestyle I wanted to live. And I was never in it for business, for building a business. I was in it just for, let's be frank, Iain, and making sure Ian's life was as good as possible. Now it's a little bit different. We're in it, we're building a business, and we're being very deliberate about that. But
so exciting.
At the same point in time, we've got goals and ambitions, and we're doing it with purpose.
Yes, which makes all the difference. What are some of the key lessons that you would say were pivotal as you were on your path getting to where you are now that were aha?
Oh, there's been so many. I think the big lessons for me really were around the difference between being a manager and a leader within my own business. And for many years, I was a manager, managing people pretty badly at times, but not being a leader. And that comes from, as I said before, I was running my business for me and I had a team of people and it suited me, it suited my lifestyle. It was great. But at the same point in time, the leadership side lacked. And so now I've taken a lot of time to be more conscious about leadership and what that means. But I've also, I think there's been so many pivotal lessons along the way that we could probably be here for days talking about them.
What about like starting out at the point that I think there were some lessons in selling the business and the irony of running into COVID. I mean, that's just in itself is a dynamic. But as you started out again in your latest venture, what is different this time around how you're approaching things?
Selling the old business and the whole process through COVID has really taught me so much about what is important now, especially when starting a new business, and making sure I don't make the same mistakes again. We're not in this business to sell it now, but I never was in the start with the other business either. And I think the difference now is everything I do is I think, well, what would that look like if we sold it? What would that look like if investors come in? What would that look like? How does that present? And it's really about making sure that the model we have is a sustainable model that we can scale. The old business really relied on me or my business partner being in the business, delivering events with a support team of people. It was a very hands-on gig. Whereas now we're building a technology that's scalable, that we don't need to be hopefully in the business every day. I mean, we're in it right now. We're in it, we're in the trenches, but that's short-term pain for essentially what we hope will be long-term gain as we scale and grow and build a global enterprise.
Right. And what were the criteria that you used to decide, because you were holding two hands with different things in each hand and making that decision of which direction are we going to go? What was instrumental in helping you make the decision to go the visualization route versus hosting events and managing the events on the ground?
Yeah, it was what is it going to look like in 10 years' time? What is the opportunity from now to 10 years? Where will we be? I'm in my 50s and it's like, okay, well, delivering events, I'm still going to be delivering events on site in 10 years if I keep the event management track. Yes, I'll get people and I'll maybe be able to grow that. But at the end of the day, the clients look to you as the event manager or the event producer or whatever that role is. You're the person, and no matter how many people you have around you, at some point you have this expectation that you'll have touch points on it. With the technology business, the Imagination Collaborative, we're really about scaling. We're about the technology and the product. We're not about Iain Morrison. It's not. And we're really being mindful about that and making sure it scales accordingly, that this is a product we have developed to solve a problem that is within an industry that I recognise very clearly, because I look at it and go, well, wow, that's a huge tool I could have made so much use of over the years. So it was a very easy decision to make in the end, whilst not being an easy decision to make, because walking away from something you do and intimately into a world, and I don't think I realised at the time what I was walking into in a startup world. It's like, I think from what I hear, it might be a bit like childbirth. If you knew what the pain was, would you really go through with it?
Yeah, because you're like a tech founder now. Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that. I didn't think, I'm going to be a tech founder and I'm going to be, knocking on people's doors and selling technology products. And I just thought, we were leaving to do something exciting, follow a passion, and solve a problem that, a lot of people have. And we are, and it's been incredibly well received, and we're very fortunate for that. At the same point in time, though, it is a lot of hard work, because we have a technology that not a lot of people are aware of. So we're in a lot of places, we're a first mover. And one of the things about first movers is you need to educate people. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into that education process.
So what's your elevator pitch? How do you pitch it and explain it to someone? For people who are listening, maybe curious, like, what is this technology product that works to help events run smoother or come off better, or talk about it a little bit?
We help people visualize events before they sign a budget, before they sell a ticket. So we build a fully immersive 3D model of an event. A lot of people call them digital twins. And we can show people exactly what the event is going to look like, how it will behave in a real world situation, but we do it virtually in advance. So we can show things like the time of day, the weather, what it will look like in the fog or the rain. We show people what the crowd will look like, and we're working on technology to show exact crowd movements around the event. We can show your sponsors what their banners are going to look like from their corporate suites. So much, we broadcasters, what the broadcast cameras will look like. And with events like golf, where it's not a stadium, you're in what we call a greenfield site, it's very hard to see exactly what that camera will look like when you're standing at ground level. And you've got to fly across the world to look at a golf course and stand at ground level and not really get exactly the picture that you need to get. So we can put them in the TV tower with the right camera, with the right lens, and show them what the view's going to be down the golf course and what the signage will look like in the background. And so it's taking that technology that's used in a lot of places for manufacturing and automotive and applying it to events.
Wow. Which is so cool, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. I mean, I just think of sponsors wanting to buy something. They want to try to, if I can visualize what I'm spending my money on, or I'm going to invest my money in, or even the event plan, if I can visualize it, I can see it, it brings it to life in a way that talking about it, or as you said, flying there or someone may know the location, but not really what's it going to be like. Once they can feel that, I'm sure it's got to speed up the process for people to make a decision like, yeah, this is it.
Well, you were in advertising. I mean, I'm sure you know the power of visuals, right?
Exactly.
And one of the biggest things I've heard through my career is, but I just don't see it. I can't see what it's going to look like. Even when we showed people renders, just static renders, they weren't relatable as much as the technology we're using now, because the technology we use is like a video game where you can navigate around the event in first person and really see it from every angle.
Wow. So good. So good. I'm sure you've got some demos of it, links that we can include in the show notes. So if somebody's curious, they can take a look or obviously get in touch with you. So what advice would you have for people out there who may be listening to this and they started down a career path, and I mean, maybe they're in the next round of being made redundant, or they're just hanging on for the paycheck, but it's not really what they want to be doing. What advice would you have for them?
Passion. What makes you sing, what fills your cup in life. And life's short, right? And right now we're working hard. I'm probably working harder than I've ever worked in 35 years of rock and roll. But firstly, I do enjoy it, as hard as it is and as stressful as it is sometimes. It's enjoyable because I work for myself. We sit there at night and we go, okay, well, what's the vision? Where do we want to be? And we know we're very clear about our vision most of the time. Sometimes it gets a little bit foggy, but I think if you're not clear about your vision, you're not sure where you want to be in 5-10 years, then sit down and work that out first, because it's probably not going to be a job that you don't enjoy, that you might be micromanaged in, or you might have some toxic workmates or whatever it is. What really makes your heart sing, and then work out how you can monetize that or how you can get into that. It might be another job. How do you reach that job? What are the steps you need to take? How are you going to get from where you are now to where you would love to be? It's just a case of sitting down and thinking about that and planning and then actioning it. And it is actually, as scary as it is, it's incredibly liberating once you do it. Right.
And I hear everything you're saying. And I think because people can become skilled at something because they've been doing it for a while and they maybe like it. And as you said, it may not be like the environment that they want, or they may have a micromanager for a boss or whatever. The other thing that I'm realizing, because of the study that we do now that AI is coming out, I mean, it's like leverage AI in a way and see, and I encourage people, go do some research on what it is that you know how to do and what new businesses, new ideas, new ways can you leverage that technology to step out and do your own thing, making as much or more than what you're currently making, doing it like manually or by chugging away, because the whole AI field is opening up like job titles and career opportunities that didn't even exist like a month ago, 6 months ago, So what are your thoughts around that?
I think AI right now is like standing in a farm 150 years ago with your horse, plowing the field, watching the factories being built around you, going, well, I don't see the point. What's that going to do for me? Right? Mm-hmm. Or you're looking at it going, oh, well, it's going to take over my job. Or there's so many ways you can look at it. And that farmer with that horse had no idea that he could plow 10 times the amount of field with a tractor and not have to rely on the horse getting tired or breaking,
right,
getting old, whatever it was. That you need to look at AI like that opportunity of AI is not going to take your job necessarily. I mean, it will take some jobs, but somebody using AI is more likely to be taking your job than AI itself. And this huge opportunity that we'll probably never get again in our lifetime.
Right.
To absolutely revolutionise the way you work. I mean, since leaving the events industry to where I am today, AI has become such an integral part of our business. We're proudly AI first, and AI first means what's the first thing we do? We go to AI and see if there's a way to automate it, to solve it, to support us. But at the same point in time, we're not looking for AI to do what we do. We're looking for AI to support us so we can do our highest and best use. We can get the most value out of our time to deliver what we need to do. And there are so many incredible opportunities right now with AI. And frankly, it's not that hard to learn and understand. It's AI. And the beauty of AI is AI can teach you about AI. Just start asking it about how it works. It's honestly, you can get self-taught in AI by using AI. So why wouldn't you look at that as an amazing tool instead of a barrier? And I think for where we're going to be in 5 or 10 years, who knows? But if you don't know how to use AI and you're not comfortable with it, then you need to be. It's like anything though, LuRae. It's about getting out of your comfort zone. It's quite comfortable to go to a job you hate and get a paycheck at the end of the week. I did it for a while. But it's not rewarding. It doesn't fill you up. It doesn't give you meaning. And there's a lot of fear around stepping out of that. And the hardest thing is breaking through that fear, and you need somebody to support you. You need people around you that can help you and let you know everything's going to be okay. At the end of the day, I mean, a lot of people are comfortable and might not want to move, but there are a lot of people that there's an amazing opportunity out there for them just to take that leap with some faith and some support.
Exactly. Yeah. I just always said that. You'll realize your comfort zone wasn't that comfortable once you get out of it. Like you said, doing it just for the paycheck. And I understand people. I mean, I planned 6 years because I was a single mom the first time I stepped out, and because I'm like the serial entrepreneur, that have gone out and then for whatever reason had gone back. And I was so relieved. I mean, once I stepped out, then the other trick is, if you're consulting or doing client work, don't let them entice you to come on as an employee, because that happened. It's like 1 year into it, and I was like, oh, would you come on board and do that for us? And I'm like, and so then the next thing I knew, I was like, I just repeated what I just left and didn't want to be doing, so thank God. Yeah. It worked out there. I felt like I was losing myself again, and as a mom with 2 young daughters and traveling a lot, and I was able to step out again and just stay true to myself. So that's one of the other bits of advice, I think. Yeah. Is just, as you're saying, to just be true to yourself and follow your heart, and don't just make decisions with your head, because that's your ego talking more than your heart and where you're really meant to be headed. So
it's so true. I mean, the hardest thing I did was walking away from the business. It was an incredibly tough decision. It was a lot of money. There was a lot of money on the table for my business partner and I, and it was life-changing. But we had 3 more years and we were miserable. And the people around us were miserable. The staff were miserable. The environment was miserable. And it's like, what are we going to be like 3 more years of this?
Right.
Is it really worth it? How much value do you put on your life and your time? And at the end of the day, thankfully, we were both very aligned with how we felt. And we were like, we need to get out. So that was an incredibly tough decision. And if I hadn't had amazing people around me, my wife and business partner at the time and friends supporting me and going, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of money, but it's, you're going to be okay. The world's not going to cave in. I remember the day we did it, and it was incredibly liberating. It's like this huge weight was lifted off shoulders, and it's like, yes, now I feel good. I feel great. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, had you stayed in that, like, why do that? As we had said, like, there's a finite amount of time that we're here, and we can either enjoy it and live all out and be doing something that makes us want to get up in the morning, or trudge through it. I choose, even if it's challenging and makes me grow and makes me do things I've never tried before, I'd rather be doing that than doing something that is sedating my soul. I would say that in a heartbeat.
There's something about challenging yourself, and maybe it's not for everybody, but I find it's very rewarding, even if you don't make your goals. Right. There's something about, I challenged myself and I pushed myself to do things I never thought I could do. And sometimes imposter syndrome's a real thing, right? I mean, I'm running a tech startup. What do I know about tech? I'm an event manager, 35 years. I'm not a great tech guy. I mean, I get it at surface level, but as soon as people start talking about coding and other things, I start glazing over. That's not my strong point.
Right.
And I have to realize that's not why I'm here.
Exactly.
And that I'm challenging myself to build a tech business and to do something that solves a problem in an industry I know quite well and quite intimately. And that's the superpower.
Yeah. Well, and that, if there's
understanding.
Exactly. If there's that saying, like surrounding ourselves with people that are smarter than us, who can do the things that isn't in our core competency, that is a sign of leadership. That the person who is insecure by, they know more than me and I don't want to look bad, or I don't want to look like I don't know something, those kinds of behaviors will keep you stuck. And as an entrepreneur, you look for the best people you can find to do whatever that thing is that needs to be done. May not be your expertise, but it has to be done. You want the best person to do it. And that's where that trust comes in, and you take your leadership role and you're charging forward, leading the charge of the people that are supporting and doing the work to make this startup come alive.
There is a lot of benefit to being the dumbest person in the room. And I've said that for a very long time. Right. I failed I didn't fail high school. I got through.
Yeah.
But let's not say I did very well. For many years, I couldn't add up simple maths. And I've had to teach myself because I didn't enjoy it at school. And because I didn't enjoy it, I didn't apply myself. So I've had this thing for many years. I don't need to be the smartest person in the room.
Right.
I just need to know how to get the smart people in the room.
Exactly.
And then work the rest out.
Right. And then there's that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to go far.
Right.
Right. Oh, Iain, thank you so much. There's so much wisdom. And I know over time, like, we pick up things that just paint the mosaic of how we go forward with the next thing we do. It's just brilliant to hear you sharing how you're using what you learned in those first experiences to do a checkpoint. Okay, how do I want to make this decision? Because I don't want to do what I did in that situation. And it just takes you further than you would have gone if it was your first pony ride. This is not your first time in the ring. You're an experienced, entrepreneur. Yeah.
You learn a lot from, I wouldn't call them failures, but you learn a lot from failing.
Yeah.
Right.
A lesson.
Probably more. You learn more from your unsuccessful ventures than you learn from your successful ventures in life because they stick with you. I could quite comfortably tell you the 10 things I failed at before I told you the 10 things I succeeded at. And I think that's just the way we're wired is you remember those things because they hurt, but you learn and you grow and you don't want to go back there. So you're sort of driven to improve and innovate to make sure you don't do that again, whatever the failure might have been.
So yeah, anyone out there thinking that they're not sure they're in the right spot, take the first step. I think Iain and I would both encourage you, take the first step, like look at what the options are and go for it.
Sit down and write, what does your ideal life look like? If you could do anything you wanted with no limits, what would that be? And then work backwards from there. Okay, well, what do I need to do? There's probably going to be some hard work along the way and some tough decisions, but they're worth it.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Iain. This was so fun.
It's been a pleasure. I love our conversations, LuRae, so thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a wrap on another episode of And Then I Did This, celebrating the lives of those who've walked away from the beaten path to pursue work and a life that nourishes their soul. If you're feeling inspired and ready to explore your own path to freedom, check out youcanbefree.life, where you'll find resources and support to help you break free and live life on your own terms. See you next time.